Welcome to Infidelity and Affairs, Myth, Facts, and Way to Respond. I'm Ofer Zur, PhD, a licensed psychology, ethicist, instructor, expert witness, author, and most importantly for me, anthropologically critical thinker, as well as an adventurer. So today we're going to talk about infidelity and kind of demystify some of the misconception. And probably one of the most known misconception is, or what we want to get some clarity on, that it's neither rare nor exclusively men's doing, and not necessarily the end of a marriage. So also what's to dispel some myth, it's an equal opportunity. Uh, Men, women, young, old, gay, straight, trans, just name it, and everybody is involved. Only in the universe, only 3% of the 4,000 species are, or 4,000 mammals are not practicing infidelity. So societies support monogamy and fidelity, and they're accepting divorce, but somehow infidelity is not as accepted. So the two myths that kind of I would like to really expose is that men initiate almost all affairs, and it's always an affair is a problem for the marriage. So what's interesting is that some of the couples who report affairs, and I have seen hundreds of them in my practice and read and talked and lecture, and reports that actually they have high marital satisfaction. Some people say that affairs spiced up the marriage and as well as sex life. So the mythology also said that you need to heal the infidelity in order for the marriage to thrive, and that's not true in real life experiences. We also need to remember that not all affairs are not consensual. Some affairs are consensual. Along this line, open marriages were popular, very popular in the 70s, are still around. So let's kind of talk about types of affairs. So the most common kind of supposedly that people can relate to is that it's an unsatisfactory marriage, it's avoiding conflict, it's retribution. Some of them are really exit affairs, and but then there is also a big part where couples have a consensual extramarital relationship, and there is many communities around the world, as I mentioned earlier. It can be sometimes a midlife crisis for men or for women, or fear of growing old and wanting to feel vital and want to feel energized. Sexual addiction and philandering is also can be part of affairs, not necessarily always. Then they have another type is accidental brief affairs. So he or she are going to New York or Chicago or LA, and they meet somebody at the bar or somebody at dinner, they have an affair. It doesn't mean they need to come back necessarily and reveal everything to the spouse. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Depends on the arrangement, depends of what will be effective for the marriage. Needless to say that online affairs are very, very common. So whether it's texting that move to sexting at 2 o'clock at night, where there is kind of nudity and sexual games, it's become very, very common, not only for teenagers, but also for 70, 80 years old. So the internet introduced an incredible amount of more proximity, kind of allowing affair to mushroom. What's really interesting also is that the sex dolls of the 60s and 50s and 70s, perhaps, now we have affairs for some people with a sex robot. And that means that you can program how much, what kind of vibration and what kind of heat and what kind of um, you would like to. So this is kind of a real an apparatus, a machine. It's not online. It's really something that you order and you get online, and you get kind of a sex robot. Just I would like kind of to end this brief, hopefully mind opening around the complexities and the variability of affairs. Is I work with few couples, quite a few couples, that at certain point, after we talked about the affair and after there was a crisis and after when people recuperate, the man or the woman, whoever felt originally betrayed, turn to their wife or husband and ask them, tell me what you liked about the lover. And this was kind of a high level of functionality, no doubt about it. And then the person who had the affair get to talk, he paid attention to what I was talking. He was patient with me, or or he would say she was really very gentle and took the time. So it's really an interesting dynamic, and it does not apply to all couples. As I say, some couples better don't ask, don't tell. They have this arrangement, verbally or non-verbally. But sometimes the affair can create a space where you find out what your spouse is missing. So I hope this kind of brief presentation will make you think about beyond the righteousness of big betrayal and the memory of what happened to you, and you try to connect the dots again, to think that there is a ways to look at affairs that are positive, that can be enhancing the marriage, or, as I said before, it can be an exit type affair, or it can be a non-event when it is kind of done far away from home and there is no continuity of relationship. So a lot of type of affairs. There's a few articles that kind of we give you the links to look at more details of all the different 10 or 13 types of affairs that I have listed in my articles, but also to kind of to open your mind, to open your heart, to open in extramarital affairs. Thank you.